This video will contain topics of a sensitive nature and is not meant for all audiences. Please be forewarned. In today's video, I will be talking about another common topic in horror movies. In particular, I will be talking about the family dysfunction theme. Family dysfunction is one of the most pervasive and emotionally powerful themes in modern North American horror movies. Unlike traditional horror, where the threat often came from an external monster or supernatural force, contemporary horror frequently begins by establishing that the family itself is already fractured before the horror emerges. The supernatural or violent antagonist often exposes, amplifies, or exploits the pre existent fractures rather than creating them. In many modern horror movies, the family is both the emotional core of the story and the primary source of vulnerability. Rather than asking, can this family survive the monster? The films often ask, can this family survive itself? The nuclear family has long been viewed as a symbol of safety, stability, belonging in North American culture. Horror deliberately subverts this expectation by transforming the home into a place of fear rather than comfort. This reversal is psychologically unsettling because it challenges one of our most fundamental assumptions that family members will protect one another. Modern horror asks unsettling questions such as, what happens when both parents fail their children? What happens when children become the threat to their parents? What happens when love turns into control? Can a family remain a family after tragedy? Are some emotional wounds impossible to heal? Many horror films begin after a devastating event that has already shattered the family. This includes the death of a child, miscarriage, divorce, suicide, financial ruin, addiction, long term illness, criminal behavior, and the disappearance of one or multiple family members. Rather than depicting healthy families suddenly attacked by evil, contemporary horror often portrays families already struggling to communicate. The horror exploits emotional weakness that already exists. One of the most common and consistent forms of dysfunction is communication breakdown. Family members frequently keep dangerous secrets, refuse to discuss painful events, they hide addictions, conceal financial problems. They may even lie to protect the other one or avoid discussing mental health or even, worstly, suppress grief. Silence then becomes dangerous. The audience often recognizes that many disasters could have been avoided if the family members had simply trusted one another. In modern horror, often portrays families living under one roof while remaining emotionally disconnected. Parents are often overworked, emotionally unavailable, depressed, distracted, or consumed by grief, while the children respond by becoming withdrawn, angry, sensitive, rebellious, or lonely. The monsters enters an environment where emotional isolation already exists. One of the most sophisticated themes in contemporary horror is general trauma. Rather than presenting evil as a random horror, suggests emotional pain is inherited. Parents unknowingly pass on abuse, fear, addiction, violence, religious extremism, racism, emotional repression, unrealistic expectation. Children then inherit behavioral patterns they never chose. The horror asks whether anyone can truly escape the damage created by previous generations. In North American horror, increasingly explores abuse rather than hidden it beneath the appearance of a normal family. There are many forms to the abuse: emotional, physical, psychological manipulation, gaslighting, neglect, excessive control, parentification, which forces children into adult roles. These families often appear perfectly ordinary to their neighbors, yet the horror lies partly in the contrast between public appearances and the private reality of the family. Many horror films portray parents whose love becomes possessive. Parents will begin monitoring every decision, isolating their children, preventing independence, use guilt as control, demand perfection, and treat children as extension to themselves. The resultant conflict results and reflects a fear of losing one's identity within the family. Parents in modern horror are rarely portrayed as perfect protectors. Instead, they struggle with self doubt, guilt, exhaustion in many cases, addiction, mental illness, financial stress, and even marital conflict between the couple. Their inability to protect their children becomes one of the story's greatest emotional tragedies. Many films ask, can a parent forgive themselves for failing their children? Earlier, horror frequently depict children solely as victims, while as in modern horror, it complicates this relationship. Children may become possessed, manipulated, or manipulators, violent, emotionally detached, maybe even supernaturally gifted or influenced by cults connected to curses. Parents must confront the terrifying possibility that protecting their children may also mean confronting them. This creates moral dilemmas with no easy solution. Many horror films use failing marriages as emotional foundations. Common stressors include infidelity, infertility, financial hardships, maybe stemming from career conflicts, the loss of intimacy, different in parenting philosophies, or grief after a tragedy. The supernatural often magnifies these tensions rather than causing them. As trust deteriorates, characters become increasingly isolated. Brothers and sisters frequently embody complicated mixtures of love, jealousy, protection, competition, resentment, or in some films, survivor's guilt. Sibling dynamics often reveal long standing family wounds, Older siblings may carry crushing responsibility. Younger siblings may feel invisible. One sibling's trauma often shapes the lives of all the others. As mentioned before, secrets function almost like curses. Common hidden truths include a child being adopted, a family member murdered another, cult involvement, mental illness. Maybe someone has a criminal history, or there's a hidden inheritance not divulged to others, or illegitimate children after an affair, or, of course, long forgotten crimes. These secrets accumulate over generations until they finally erupt into horror. The underlying message is that buried truth rarely stays buried forever. Modern horror frequently blurs the distinction between supernatural inheritance and psychological inheritance. Characters often wonder, did I inherit evil or mental illness? Am I becoming my parent? Is the curse real, or am I simply repeating familial behavior? The uncertainty makes the horror deeply personal. The family home often then symbolizes the family's emotional condition. Rotten walls represent emotional decay. Locked doors symbolize repression. Flooded basements represent buried memories. Dark attics holding forgotten family history. Crumbling foundations reflecting unstable relationships. The house is rarely just a setting, it becomes an extension of the family's inner life. Despite the dysfunction, many modern horror films also portray the enduring strength of family love. Parents, siblings, or children may risk everything to save one another. The sacrifices suggest that while families can be sources of profound pain, they can also be sources of resilience and redemption. Acts of forgiveness, honest communication, and self sacrifice often become the turning point that allows characters to confront the horrors they face. Family dysfunction resonates because family relationships are among the first and most influential bonds people experience. Nearly everyone has encountered some form of conflict, misunderstanding, or unmet expectation within a family, making these stories emotionally accessible, even when the horror itself is fantastical. By placing supernatural or violent threats inside a fractured family, modern North American horror transforms private emotional struggles into compelling narrative. Haunted houses become metaphors for unresolved histories. Monsters embody inherited fears, and curses reflect cycles of pain passed from one generation to the next. The result is horror that operates on two levels. It frightens through external danger while inviting viewers to reflect on how love, loss, conflict, and unresolved trauma shape the people we become.